for the very first time in the US, being Maria and the Empire. They have probably nothing in common, except one thing: they will be released in the US thanks to the iconic independent distributor KINO LOBER. Richard Lober is the chairman of this company and the CEO of KINO LOBER Media Group, which includes KINO LOBER. It's, as you know, a leader in art house distribution for award-winning international documentary, indie, and classic cinema. It's also the streaming service MHZ Choice, specializing in international series, including French series, and the digital platform KINO Film Collection, featuring new KINO LOBER releases, fresh from theater, along with hundreds of films from the library of more than 4,000 titles, many now streaming for the first time. With 40 years experience, Richard Lober was the co-founder and head of Fox Lober for 20 years. He later served for 6 years as president of Koch Lober Films, which became part of Entertainment One. He acquired KINO International in 2009 to form KINO LOBER. He is a member of the Producers Guild of America and a member of the Academy Motion Picture Arts and Science. This year, the Franco-American Cultural Fund has decided to celebrate an American professional for his action in favor of French cinema and of French series in the US, and honoring him with the first TAFF Impact Award. And we are proud to have chosen Richard as the first recipient of this prize. And I have the prize with me. Not bad. For several decades, Richard has played a huge role in supporting foreign film in the US, giving their chance to so many different features and series, several of them nominated for the Academy Awards. His lineup reflects the quality but also the diversity of the international production, and this diversity is obvious when you consider films and series from KINO LOBER, premiered at the American French Film Festival for the last 15 years. Just a few of them: Mademoiselle Chambon, The Well Digger's Daughter, The Bureau, the series, The Bureau, As I Open My Eye, Fatima, Slack Bay, Proud, Custody, France, The Super 8 Years, The Worst Ones, Final Cut, On the Adamant, La Syndicaliste, and this year being Maria and the Empire. It's very impressive. Here is a selection of French film and series released by KINO LOBER in the US. I'm glad to honor with this first Impact Award, a friend of France, a friend of the festival, a personal friend, and a true cinephile, Mr. Richard Lober.
I'm deeply honored. I'm heavily honored. This is unanticipated, even though it was previewed that I'd be getting this, but the moment has come, and it brings many thoughts to the foreground. I have thought a lot about what it means to have impact. I am of the opinion that I believe in the law of conservation of impact, in that as you are impacted, you impact back. And throughout my life, few things have impacted me as much as French culture. And I want to share a little anecdote with you that was the first experience I had with impacting back. I was 17 years old. I just finished my first year at Columbia, and I was traveling in France, hitchhiking, as you can't really do very well anymore. And I was going somewhere between Avignon and Italy. I wasn't sure where I was, but I was picked up in a broken down, rusting de chevaux by a kind woman who saw me holding a sign saying étudiant américain, and she dropped me off somewhere where she wasn't going beyond, in the little port town called La Ciotat, which later on became a very important place in the history of Cubist painting. In La Ciotat, I had no place to stay, and I really didn't know what I was going to do, and I saw a crowd of people forming around the port where there was an American destroyer installed, and there were some sailors there who were recruiting people to come for a tour on the ship. And these young American sailors, were looking around, and they were confused, and they didn't speak French, and they were surveying the crowd and saying, "Does anyone here speak English?" And I sheepishly said, "Yes." "Does anyone here speak English and French?" And I boldly said, "Yes." They said, "Okay, you're going to be the translator." And they proceeded to give a tour of the boat, and they stopped in front of this huge mounted gun. And they went on to explain to this crowd of local French people who didn't speak a word of English, all about the details about this howitzer, this 155 millimeter long range previous PHC F howitzer that has lightweight capabilities and can be, and it went on and on and on, and they were just kind of dumbfounded and dazed. And then he pointed to me and said, "Translate." And I looked at my friends from France, and I said, "C'est un canon." That was my impact, and they all broke into applause and smiled, and we were very happy, and somebody invited me to dinner, and I had a place to stay that night. So I had my first encounter with cultural impact. That then followed, I went back to New York eventually and continued my studies, and I was fortunate enough to be in a very culturally vibrant part of New York, the Upper West Side, which had 7 art house theaters within the range of 10-block range of Columbia University. And it was a pilgrimage every week to see the new films by the French New Wave filmmakers. We waited with bated breath for the next Godard, the next Truffaut, the next Romer, the next Rivette, the next Varda. And every one of those films opened doors of awareness for me. I became immersed in the culture of France and the discovery of all the great cinematic invention that was going on and the cultural excitement of all of that. Fast forward 40 years, I'm now in the film business. I won't explain how I got there from being a graduate student in art history, but that's another story for another time, and maybe another award. But I found myself opening the mail one day, and I'm receiving a letter that I had no anticipation of having received from the Minister of Culture of France, a woman named Catherine Tasca, saying that you've been made a Chevalier of the Order of Arts and Letters. And I said, what is this? Is this a joke? And I had no idea what this was. There was a ceremony later on, and it all evolved into the fact that I was now a Chevalier. And the only thing I could think of is that they gave me this because I spent too much money buying French films. Well, I have to say now, it's only finally with the receipt of this Impact Prize that I feel proud to wear my Chevalier medal. Live on with Impact going forward. Thank you so much.